You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record.
All right. Happy Friday, everybody. We made it. So, I was thinking today about JF and Alora and this whole situation. And I know that we see these situations in true crime, like in Chris Watts, where he kind of piques our curiosity and raises the hairs on the back of our neck, and we think, oh, something's not right with this interview. I'm talking about Chris Watts's, porch interview. And there's a whole documentary, I think it's actually a series, European documentary called Crocodile Tears, where people have gone missing and people have made, close to them, have made pleas to the public for their return. And what makes this story so different is that JF isn't making any pleas to the public to find her. There's been no pleas by her parents. And he's completely emotionless. And in fact, JF has told the investigators that that they would be basically wasting their time to look for her. And why I think he's taken this approach is, for one, what other approach could he take? Because it's so unusual for a person to go missing for 4 months, not be seen by anyone, including her parents and her, quote, husband, unquote, and for no one to raise the alarm. So once the alarm hasn't been raised for 4 months, the only attitude you can have is, oh, I'm totally relaxed about this. She does this all the time. She leaves all the time like this. And she wanted to go out and live amongst nature off grid, or she wanted to urban explore and hike off grid, depending on which story he's telling and when. But that is one of the things that makes this situation so fascinating, is that we're not getting the crocodile tears, the pleas for her return. We're getting none of that. We're getting no emotion whatsoever. And his supporters will just say, you just don't understand. He's just this kind of guy. He's an unemotional guy. Always. And that's what he'll say, right? He's a low emotion guy. Nothing will upset him. So I wanted to, before we go into the more recent stuff and I wanted to look at your comments. So first one's from Weeb, says, if he wouldn't let her go, you'd call him controlling because he let her go. Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can understand this. If he wouldn't let her go, you'd call him controlling. But because he let her go, he is unsympathetic and a quote, murder suspect, even though there's no body. There is simply no winning with you feminists, is there? Well, for one, I'm not a feminist. And two, I would say that, first of all, yeah, I would expect someone to say, it's not a smart idea. You're the mother of my children. Just out of concern for your children, you wouldn't want her to leave. But no one's suggesting that he should block the door. And this is all his story. So you're assuming that I believe that he let her go or that she went somewhere. Yeah, it is totally unusual. And his lack of concern for the mother of his children is shocking. So yeah, I think that's an odd comment. Like it's some kind of political stance. And that's the way that he has sandwiched his whole attitude, which is like, this is my politics, right? It's a liberté. Anyone remember? Which is the weirdest thing, right? Because he wants more control, but he's laid back and wants her to do whatever she wants. I don't know. I thought she was supposed to be parenting her kids, which as a mother should be your priority. No? Am I crazy? All right. I don't think I'm crazy. I'm answering my own question. What do you mean? This is from Prowl06. What do you mean Prince Edward Island is not a place of big crime stories and of Green Gables, which is set in Prince Edward Island, had her pigtails pulled once. Nice. And Lola 18.5 says, I would like to know about Alora and her parents. I would too. There's not a lot of available information about her or her family that doesn't come from JF. If anybody has any of that kind of information, please send it my way. My email address is always public in the About section of my YouTube channel. Another great comment came from my friend. Hold on one second. And we were talking the day before yesterday, and I was wondering out loud, I was looking at a similar crime that was done in Northern Ireland, where the killer live streamed or pretended to live stream. He taped a fake live stream and aired it at the exact time that he was killing his pregnant girlfriend. And he had put in things in there like 007 and references, lots of James Bond references. And this is what my friend says. Quote, he also left raising and taunting hidden messages about her death in the bogus session. It was contended, unquote. I feel like JF is doing this to everyone. And Dame Shaban agreed, would you not want to know who committed the murder? And my friend said JF doesn't seem to care at all if Alora is dead or alive. And this is McCullough, the murderer in Northern Ireland. At one point in the broadcast, McCullough says, pay attention, 007, and then took a break in the broadcast. Ms. Pinkerton, and in this break only, during the time the killer is in Ms. McNally, that's the victim's home, the screen is replaced momentarily with a promotional photo for a James Bond film with the words, no time to die, 007. And my friend is wondering, is JF taunting us with the 007 reference because of this crime? So I'm wondering, my friend's wondering, was he inspired by this murder in Northern Ireland, where McCullough the murderer was just convicted? I'm going to take a quick break. When I get back, we're going to go over JF having a meltdown over the recent press and a kind of curious piece of JF and Allura history when we get back. Stay tuned. If you are enjoying this episode of my True Crime Report, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share this episode. Get access to exclusive podcasts and other bonus content by becoming a patron today. If you have a question or comment for me, shoot me a super chat and I'll do my best to answer it and read it on air. Thanks so much. Now back to the show. Right. So someone's asking in the comment section, Bad Man Elite, if the cops are investigating, yes, they are. But what we know about that investigation is almost next to nothing. Only that we've seen the pieces of media that they put out in the press looking for Allura. And I would think that if we're concerned by JF's answers, they have to be watching very closely. And I remember, do you guys remember when JF said he was talking to investigators and he says, like, they know me, you know, they know me. They even Googled me, right? And he thinks that's a good thing. that they were impressed that he's a public figure, this famous white supremacist, right? That that's gonna somehow give him more stature and more kind of gravitas, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea what he's thinking, but my thought was he was like incredibly flattered that they looked him up. And he thinks that means they're going to believe everything he says. And I would hope that they would be really skeptical. We don't know. And also in the comment section, of course, my accent continues to be very controversial. But I just wanted to show you this curious piece of JF history before we get into the more current stuff. Here's where Allura takes over the channel. It's April Fool's Day.
Hey, hello everyone! What is going on? Hey, okay, now we're gonna do something a little bit different, okay? Because I was tired of JF.
So you can see her looking to the side. She's looking to JF to the side. He's told her to say this. And she looks like she wants to do it right.
And I locked him up in the basement. So now I took control of the public space. I control the public space, okay? So now we're gonna do something a little bit different, okay? Get on your knees and pray. Do it right now. Now we're gonna do only praying. Okay, I control the public space. Jeff is in the basement. Yes. Hey, Jeff, you got out of the basement?
Yes, I'm out of the basement.
Oh no, how'd you get out? Oh.
Fool's edition of the public space. Simon Nusake says, sorry, Jeff, I called the cops because you were kidnapped. Oh no, the cops, they know that every time they receive a call about me, it's not worth investigating. Hello, Mama Jeff.
Hey.
So, did you enjoy your...
What does that sound like? Does anybody remember? Don't bother investigating. She's going to be sending you off on the false traces. She's going to be hiding from cameras. Does anybody remember that? I mean, he was making an argument to the investigators, according to him, that like, don't even waste your time looking for the mother of my children because she's such a disguise master. She's such a master of going off grid, even though she's never done it before that we know of. She's traveled. She's gone and stayed with her parents. But as far as some kind of urban survival trek, long kind of survival trek in nature, I'm not familiar with any extended period with no cell phone and no credit cards being used, because what we do know is that her cell phone went cold around the 19th, June 19th.
Your experience for making the intro to the public space?
Hey, isn't Joe Biden Jewish?
I don't know if he's Jewish. I will have to do some research. I do not know this information. Well, everyone, have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good day.
Okay, so that's that little clip. Very interesting clip. I just thought it was very interesting that he's saying that should I go missing, they know not to look for me. I'm not worth looking for. Or I don't know. Is that what he meant? It's very similar to what he said with Alora. All right. I am going to get into the new stuff now. Let's get into JF losing his mind with all the latest press. And his article in Newsweek has appeared, article in the Daily Beast I went over already. And he's going to be doing, it looks like, a whole bunch of new interviews. So this series may never end, guys.
Meanwhile, there's a whole smear campaign in the mainstream media about me.
Okay, let's go over what a smear campaign is. A smear campaign is when the media says something untrue about you. I haven't found anything untrue in any of these stories. And a lot of them use a lot of quotes from your own mouth.
White supremacist vlogger Jean-François Gariepy's partner has been missing since June. A Daily Beast article by Kelly Whale, the very same person who smeared me back in 2017 or 18 or 19, I don't remember, but the very same person, right?
And by smear, he means wrote a very accurate article using the available court documents about JF's very lengthy custody battle with his infant child, and that he had a history of also, I think she also talks about in that article that he had a romance with a developmentally challenged woman, was 19 years old. She was, by the courts, determined to have the mental age of a 10 or an 11-year-old. And she was forcibly removed from his home in North Carolina by a court order instigated by her parents.
writes to me again and a couple of days ago, so I knew that this was coming. But I absolutely love the broken glass montage that they did. Oh my god, this is absolutely luxurious. Here they put Mama Jeff. Mama Jeff has been.
He is obsessed with this. The last time we talked about this, he was talking about the Daily Beast picture there too. I don't know why they didn't just put a picture of JF and Alora. Why did they do this thing? But he loves it. This broken mirror montage. I love it. Why is he so obsessed with this thing? I don't get it. But you think it might have been helpful for them to actually put up a full picture of Alora?
Split in 3 quarters. So the upper face of Mama JF is here. The lower face is here. The right side of her face is here. I have hidden the photos of Mama JF because I don't know that she consents to all of this. So the whole suggestion of this montage.
Okay, let's talk about this idea of consent because he's brought this up a bunch of times. So he has called the trip a consensual trip. So consent is something that happens between 2 people. The way he put the trip was that she decided to be a survivalist and go live off grid, and he had to respect her liberty. That is not consent. But he keeps saying it's a consensual trip, and it's very important to JF to stress this idea that it was her idea. He dropped her off at the gas station where she wanted to be dropped off. It was all her doing. She's a person who can't plan, but she somehow has strangely had a plan to bring her phone and be in touch. And she changed her plan 2 days later. So she had a plan then, but she's generally a person who doesn't have plans, but okay. And this was all her idea. Then he respected her liberté so much that he took her to the gas station, dropped her off, all her idea, meaning I have nothing to do with this disappearance. I'm going to distance myself as much as I can from this disappearance. It is all her. And she's also someone who has lived a very dangerous lifestyle, one that I saved her from. See, I'm the good guy here. I'm not the one who's a dangerment to her life. That is the people that she's around at these music festivals and these crackers. Remember that? He was the one who saved her, but the pull was too strong back to that old way of life. Remember? It's so obvious, right? It's just so obvious what he's doing. He's not a dumb guy. Not a dumb guy. I don't know if he's the genius that he thinks he is, but he's not a dumb guy.
Taj is, see the guy that's laughing here? Well, he looks at you seriously at first. Then he chops you into bits. Just chops your head in 4 different quarters. 1 quarter is sent to the other side of the planet. The other quarters are hidden somewhere in the forest. Look, he's also violent because as you try to express your fear, he pushes you back. There's a lot of...
What? So so this thing, I mean, is this like one of those psychological tests with ink blots? This picture? So what he sees here is a person who could chop someone into quarters and who will push you away. I may have to listen to this again.
Of hidden language in this montage. Oh, and by the way, he broke your cell phone, so you can never call your family to warn them of the murderer that you are.
No, nobody's saying that you broke her cell phone. Aren't you the one saying that she decided on the 19th that she got in touch with you and she said, I no longer want to be reachable? Aren't you the person that said that? I don't see this the same way. What are you guys seeing? So weird that he fixates on this picture and not, I guess it's better to fixate on the picture because you'd actually have to read the whole article, right? To your audience. And the whole article is pretty right on. I mean, I'm not in love with mainstream media, certainly not on their true crime coverage. It usually is the pits. So I'm kind of with JF. I'm his audience for this kind of ripping up of the press. But this, I don't understand why they went with this. It seems unnecessary, but okay.
This is what this montage is saying. And all of this is ultimately a story deeply linked to the podcast world and these anti-woman extremists who chop women in pieces. That is what this image tells us. Now,
no, they don't have to make an image like that. Your own content speaks volumes. When you say that all women are dangerous to the pillars of the house, right? No. Sorry, I'm sorry. He said they were all destructive to the pillars of the house. Does anyone else remember that? He said women are destructive. They're basically dumb animals, I think you could say at one point. They're so stupid, right? They shouldn't be making this should be 1920 when you could own women. Yeah, that is your attitude. Why don't you just own it and embrace it? That's where they're getting that from.
The article itself, and that's at this point, the journalists have understood that they have to lay out facts in the article. And so the article doesn't seem to point to me as having done much wrong. They talk about, oh yeah, social media people have been speculating that there was foul play. Okay, loose accusation. It's like, okay, you really have nothing against me, right?
Oh, I see what this is about. What he's worried about is that some of these investigative journalists are going to start digging around. And he's relieved that they haven't started talking to the police and finding out where they are in their investigation and started investigating themselves. That's what he's worried about. Yeah, of course we have nothing. What could I have about this in New York City when you're in Prince Edward Island without going there myself?
You have so little against me that this is all you can say, that some people on social media have said some things. Okay, but the media at this point doesn't care because they work with title and images.
All right, I'm going to take a quick break right here. They work with titles and images. That's all you're talking about is the titles and images. There was not just this article, but there was also an article in Newsweek, Yahoo News. Yeah, makes the news when a woman goes missing and no one calls it in. And we have to find out about it because a neighbor called it into the police. It's what I've heard. If it's a neighbor, an online person, I don't know for sure. Count all joy. Thank you so much for the $9.99. Hope we hear something from the police investigation soon. Yeah, me too. For sure. Rebecca Coolidge, love when you do the accent. Thank you. It's very controversial. A lot of people, I think actually someone said it was insulting. Very funny, in my opinion. It's hard once you start to stop. That's all I can say. All right. I am going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to finish this up with JF and a full analyzation of the picture and the headline. He has more to say about internet sleuths and journalists when we get back. If you are enjoying this episode of my True Crime Report, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share this episode. Get access to exclusive podcasts and other bonus content by becoming a patron today. If you have a question or comment for me, shoot me a super chat and I'll do my best to answer it and read it on air. Thanks so much. Now back to the show. Yeah, whoever just said, let me just pull it up because he said, like, basically, he said that the minute Alora says that he goes up against him, you know, that would not be popular with JF, basically insult him in any way. But I happen to think that he keeps talking about destructiveness. As long as women don't do anything destructive, I'm a very easy boyfriend / husband or whatever the equivalent live-in husband. I just try not to use the word partner because it just sounds like they're in business together. That he's very easy as long as someone's not destructive. And what makes me think that she wanted to take the kids away from him is that that would be something that would be really threatening to him. So much of his image is around those kids. Not that he seems to care a lot about those kids as people. Remember what he said last stream? That he was trying to create extra kids? I mean, all these people are just objects in his life. Alora, the kids. I also was posted on Reddit that the kids are with her parents. But for how long? When did this happen? Were they removed forcibly from his home? I can imagine that would be, I don't know how easy in Canada to do, but with his history, pretty easy to do legally. I wouldn't say it would be fast, but it would be easy with his history. And when I'm talking about his history, I'm talking about his legal battle with his third wife. In 2015, she had a son, and it was so bad that she had to give birth under an assumed name with a bunch of police guards guarding the bed, guarding her hospital bed, because he constantly was remarking that he wanted to kidnap this child while calling his ex-wife, the mother of this child, an abductor. And not only that, he didn't pass the psychological evaluation and refused to get help. So they were like, sorry, you're going to have no access to this child. None. That is so rare. I can't tell you how rare that is. Our courts like to have both parents involved with their child. It's got to be something really extreme to not even allow supervised visitation. But that's what happened with JF and his third wife. And it was determined that his relationship was predatory and coercive, and he had no right to keep the woman from Texas in his home. It's really like abducting a child and preying on a child. It really is. Same thing with Alora. It's so disturbing, the mindset, because for JF, the most important thing is power and control. And so he wants women who are the most easily controlled and the most obedient. Okay. Back to his obsession with the Daily Beast article. Here we go.
White supremacist vlogger JF partner has been missing since June. Murder mystery. Why is she missing? Well, it's probably because of her white supremacist vlogger boyfriend, right? So they don't care.
Yeah, because it's so normal, right? It's so normal for someone to go missing and all electronic trails go dead immediately. And for their partner, quote, husband, unquote, right? To just remodel his home and start drywalling and talk about it being sterilized. That's such a normal occurrence. How crazy of all of us to jump to conclusions. I'm so worried he's going to get away with this.
No one is going to, they know at this point that no one's going to read the article. They're all going to assume from title and image. Well, Mama JF has been chopped into pieces. Her cell phone was broken violently. And here's her white supremacist boyfriend, pushing her back, which probably was a move that he was doing just before killing her. Same thing here with Newsweek. And I tweeted about it. I'm truly at the summum of my art. Newsweek titles with the picture of Mama JF. White supremacist wants more control over woman after girlfriend disappears. It's like they make it look like, oh yeah, so this guy was pissed against women. He wanted to control women, couldn't control Mama JF. So she disappears, probably killed by him. And now he's calling for more control on the public space. But of course, no normie that reads.
See, this is his opportunity. Most people go, that's totally untrue. I didn't kill. We're still waiting for him to deny on his own volition, not asked with his short no answer on the Crucible. But the normal reaction is to say immediately, I did not kill Alora. That's it. That's what you want to put out immediately, out front. That should be the first thing. And we're still waiting for him to hear it, to say it. Sorry, excuse me, to say it. We're still waiting for him to say it. This started around the 4th of October? This is 2 weeks later. We're still waiting for him to come out with a good argument as to why he didn't kill Alora, had nothing to do with it. It's all, anyone who thinks that is absolutely wrong. And let me show you what happened on this day. Let me show you the text messages. Let me make my case. Instead, he doesn't make a case. He just ridicules all of us. Because if you just ridicule everyone, you don't have to make a case. I get so many comments like that, where I'll go through, like, say, a court case, and I'll go through all the court records and make an argument, and then someone will leave a message. He's innocent, and anyone who believes he's guilty is stupid. Well, thank you. Well, now that you said it, and that's how I feel here. Now that you've ridiculed me and everyone else who thinks this is really sus, wow, that makes a difference.
Reads this headline, it crosses their mind to think, hey, maybe she left on her own. Maybe he's asking for more control over a woman because he thinks that
if she left on her own, I would be equally as concerned, because you've already said that she likes to do dangerous things, right? Aren't you the one who's saying that she's likes to hang out with crack whores and really the dregs of society, not too safe areas? Yeah, I would be concerned too. I just happen to think that your whole attitude, behavior betrays a narcissistic psychopath.
They are making bad decisions for themselves. And maybe the white supremacist has nothing to do with this guy. Maybe the story is different. And yet, if you read their article, same thing. Mostly facts in the article, properly told stories with, again, the same thing. Like, oh, there are people speculating. But nothing in this article frames me as a murderer, except little room.
Because they can. You think they want a lawsuit? They can't. Journalistically, they can't, because we don't know. I'll speculate because it's my own opinion, right? But the who, what, where, when about it is that you say you dropped her off at a gas station, that to be a survivalist, which is very unusual for a mother of 2 toddler children, very young children, infant children. Nothing about this story is usual, regular, anything we've ever seen, even in other true crime cases. If you guys know of a true crime case that's even close to this, let me know. I don't ever remember seeing the boyfriend of the missing woman or the husband of the missing woman go, don't even bother looking for her. Oh no, she does that all the time. Nope, not worried. Because usually they know enough. But because this is such an unusual situation where 4 months have passed, that's the only attitude you can have.
Rumors that they mention. So again, we find ourselves with a title and an image that totally speak to a different story than the one that you could know by reading it. It's so sad what the media is doing. All right, so there are so many videos. Video of the massacre here.
All right, so then he's going to go back to his regular white supremacist, anti-Semitic content. But let's take a look at that article, shall we? Together. It's just it's just funny that he's got, I guess, he's got to see that from an outside perspective, it does look weird, right? But he's like, well, of course it's weird because you're all normies. You normies are going to think that a mother of 2 infants just going out into the wilderness to live with bears is weird, and that I would be concerned. It's weird, strange. You all jumping to conclusions. Normies, low IQ normies, right? It's a lot, right? The closest thing I could think of was Diane Downs. Anyone remember Diane Downs? But those interviews are like legendary. We can watch them if I pulled them up if you want to check out what I'm talking about. Actually, you know what? Let's just check out a little Diane Downs so you know what I'm talking about for a hot second. Then we can read the articles together. But just check out her affect. So what Diane Downs was having an affair with a guy or having a relationship with a guy. She was a post office worker in the Pacific Northwest. And this guy didn't want kids. And I believe she had 3 kids. So she took them on a drive on a winding back road, which is very much like JFY. A mother would want to take her kids on a nighttime ride, rural ride like this. And she said she stopped for a bushy-haired stranger. And then he tried to carjack her and shot her in the arm. And her kids, and 2 of them lived, and the daughter, I believe Cheryl, died, if I'm remembering correctly. So that's the whole background here. But take a look at the affect. That's what I want you, and the things that she's saying here.
Memories, because I knew that I was the only person that was going to be able to tell them what happened when we got to the hospital.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I went too far. Sorry. Here we go.
I've been through that night so many times. I've even been through it with my psychologist. It's very hard. It's very tearful. There are a lot of memories that, I don't know. A lot of people, when something traumatic happens to them, they suppress it immediately. I kept those memories because I knew that I was the only person that was going to be able to tell them what happened when we got to the hospital. And when I got there, the first thing I said.
And also she drove like 1 mile an hour to the hospital, and her arm where she shot herself was wrapped perfectly, and she didn't attend to any of her children's wounds.
Was call the doctors. Second thing was the blood type. Third thing was call the cops, because they've got to find him. And so I had to remember as much as I could remember. When this man shot my daughter, my first reaction was to snap back to my childhood, to the pain that had happened to me back then, my marriage, my entrapment by society. This man was bigger than me. He was stronger than me. He had more power because he had a gun. He was in control and I was not.
Okay, so then it becomes a political feminist issue, very much like JF, right? I am not going to get into the way of her liberté, right? Same kind of thing. I thought back to my childhood. And because she was so special, she didn't react in the way that nor other mothers would react. It gets crazier, but I just wanted to give you just a little taste. That's the closest thing that I've seen to JF's attitude. But last thing I just wanted to show you very quickly. I don't think I'm going to read the whole thing, but here's the article that's enraging him so much. So there's Laura. She really liked that dress. You see her a lot of times in that red dress. And she was very tall, by the way. She's 5'10". So that's another thing. A 5'10" woman would stick out. No, she's not inconspicuous person. She's a person who went on a bicycle, naked in public. It's not a shy person. She's memorable. You would think that if she were really urban hiking, people would remember her, notice her. A white supremacist YouTube personality is making his opinions about women known over 3 months after his girlfriend disappeared. Last Friday, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, requested the public's assistance in locating Laura Patron, a 30-year-old woman who was last seen on June 19th. 2 days earlier, her boyfriend, Jean-François Gariepy, dropped her off at a gas station for a trip she had been planning for years, according to him. Patron was seen on June 17th in Prince Edward Island town. And it just goes into how it's interesting after his lady love disappears. He's looking for a woman. Okay, so they quote him. He says, "Mama JF left our home entirely voluntarily to go live a life of adventure wherever it would bring her. But since she has electronically disappeared, not connecting to her cell phone or updating me or her family." Isn't that interesting that he said that she'll be leaving false electronic traces when, in fact, the truth is it's totally dead. There's no trace whatsoever after the 19th. I ask anyone who would have encountered her to just notify the police so that she can know that she is safe. And I ask her if she wants to leave a note to the police, me, or her family to ensure everyone of her safety. So this is very different than the usual plea, please. This is like, if she wants, if she's feeling in the mood, maybe she'll drop the police or me or someone a line. Ice cold and disconnected. What do you guys think? I just think it's totally off the wall. And this is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in Prince Edward Island, and this is their post from Facebook. And the police have made her a missing person, not JF. If you have any information, she speaks French and English and has connections to PEI in Quebec. So I would, if anyone is listening or watching this stream and has a tip, 1-800-222-TIPS. So that's what I have for tonight. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Have some fun, and I'll see you back here very soon.